Syria, Israel, and Ukraine. Three regions, three epicenters of conflict, and three stark reminders of how war continues to evolve in our interconnected world. Over the past decade, these nations have endured struggles that go beyond their borders, pulling global powers into their vortex and reshaping international politics. What's happening there isn't just their story, it's the story of a world grappling with shifting alliances, fractured norms, and new ways of waging war. Let's start with Syria, a country that became synonymous with devastation and human tragedy. What began in 2011 as a wave of protests during the Arab Spring quickly escalated into one of the most brutal civil wars in modern history. The Assad regime fought to maintain control, while opposition groups, fueled by calls for freedom, demanded change. But this wasn't a simple internal conflict. Syria became a battleground for competing global powers. Russia and Iran stepped in to bolster Assad's regime, turning the tide in his favor. Meanwhile, the United States and its allies supported various opposition factions, aiming to weaken both the regime and extremist groups like ISIS. By 2014, ISIS had carved out a so-called caliphate, controlling vast swathes of land across Syria and Iraq. The group's rapid rise posed a threat not only to the Middle East, but to global security. Though ISIS has since been largely dismantled, Syria's wounds remain deep. Millions of refugees fled the country, sparking a humanitarian crisis that strained resources in Europe and the Middle East. The war left cities in ruins and created a power vacuum that still invites chaos. What Syria shows us is the domino effect of war, how a local conflict can destabilize entire regions and pull superpowers into the fray. Now, let's shift to Israel, a country where conflict is as much a part of the landscape as its ancient ruins. For decades, Israel has been locked in a bitter struggle with the Palestinians, a conflict rooted in history, identity, and competing claims to the same land. But this isn't just about two peoples. It's about geopolitics on a grand scale. Recent years brought moments of hope, like the Abraham Accords, which saw Israel normalize relations with several Arab nations. But these breakthroughs coexist with the stark reality of ongoing violence. The conflict with Hamas, the militant group controlling Gaza, has led to repeated escalations, with rockets raining down on Israeli cities and devastating airstrikes leveling buildings in Gaza. Israel's strategic importance in the Middle East cannot be overstated. Its military technology, including the Iron Dome defense system, has set new benchmarks in modern warfare. At the same time, its adversaries, like Iran, continue to expand their influence through proxy groups such as Hezbollah and Hamas, fueling instability. Israel's story is a testament to the fragile balance of power in the Middle East, where every move has the potential to spark wider conflict. And then there's Ukraine, a nation that has become the focal point of one of the most consequential wars of the 21st century. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea, defying international norms and signaling a willingness to use force to achieve its goals. What followed was 8 years of simmering conflict in eastern Ukraine, culminating in 2022 with Russia's full-scale invasion. This war is different. It's not just a battle for territory. It's a battle for the global order. Russia's actions challenge the post-World War II norms that have kept interstate wars relatively rare. The invasion has drawn unprecedented support for Ukraine from the West, with billions of dollars in military aid and sweeping sanctions against Russia. At the same time, countries like China and Iran have subtly or overtly aligned with Russia, hinting at a world increasingly divided into competing blocs. The human cost is staggering. Cities like Mariupol and Bakhmut have been reduced to rubble, and millions of Ukrainians have been displaced. but the stakes go beyond the immediate devastation. Ukraine's fight is about more than sovereignty. It's about defending a world where might does not make right. It's about showing that aggression won't be rewarded with victory. So, what do these three conflicts tell us about the broader trends shaping the world today? First, they highlight the return of great power competition. The unipolar world dominated by the United States is fading, replaced by a multipolar reality where nations like China, Russia, and regional powers vie for influence. This shift isn't just about military might, it's about control over trade routes, technology, and the narratives that shape global opinion. Second, these conflicts reveal how the nature of warfare is changing. Drones, cyber attacks, and precision-guided missiles are now as critical as boots on the ground. Look at Ukraine, where cyber attacks disrupted critical infrastructure before a single tank rolled across the border. Or Israel, where technology like the Iron Dome intercepts incoming rockets with breathtaking accuracy. Warfare is no longer confined to battlefields. It's everywhere, in the skies, in cyberspace, and even in the manipulation of information. Finally, these conflicts underscore the fragility of peace. Diplomatic solutions are increasingly rare, with many wars ending in uneasy stalemates or outright victories rather than negotiated agreements. The reasons behind these conflicts, ethnic tensions, arbitrary borders, and resource disputes, remain unresolved, setting the stage for future unrest. But amidst the gloom, there's a sliver of hope. History shows that humanity has the capacity to learn, adapt, and strive for peace. The question is whether we'll use the lessons of Syria, Israel, and Ukraine to build a more stable world, or whether these conflicts will be a prelude to something worse. The world is at a crossroads. The choices made by leaders and by ordinary people like us will shape the next decade. Will we double down on division, or will we find ways to cooperate despite our differences? The answer isn't clear, but one thing is certain. Understanding these conflicts is the first step toward making informed decisions about the future. Before you go, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you're not just supporting our work, you're joining a community that values critical thinking and meaningful discussions about the world we share. Let's navigate this complex world together,